Hi everyone, so I wanted to show you how I turned this standard miniature kit into an abandoned derelict room. So obviously I've put this together from scratch out the kit, and then I want to give it a sort of creepy abandoned makeover. I was being lazy here, I couldn't be bothered to undo the screws and find my screwdriver, so I just pulled the hinges off. Doesn't matter anyway because this is on the outside and I can fill this and sand it later. And as you can see, it looks nice. I mean, it's a nice little kit, don't get me wrong, but I do like to sort of spookify these or make them look like abandoned rooms, like abandoned buildings. So first things first, I'll take out the stuff I don't want, and I do need to take out the furniture and things. And obviously the main thing is that I need to make sure I don't damage too much stuff. Obviously it's going to be damaged to a certain extent because I'm going to make it look like it's derelict, but obviously I want to make life easier for myself, and the stuff's already stuck together, so obviously I don't want to make it where I've got to take loads of tiny little individual bits again and put them back together. So the first thing to do is dirty up everything and flatten down the plant to make it look like it's died. Now for this one, I was originally going to just keep the wallpaper and everything as is and just paint it and dilapidate it that way, but I changed my mind and decided to take everything out and do it properly. So here I'm just flattening down the plant and I was going to paint it brown. In the end what I did was I peeled off all the leaves, painted it brown, and then added it back later on. It's a lot easier and a lot less fiddly to take the stuff out and repaint it and everything. So here I'm just pulling off the little leaves and just leaving little sticks behind, and then I'll paint those brown so it looks like it's a very, very dead plant. And also just stain the pot with just a little brown wash just to make the pot look very grubby and old and gungy, and I put a bit of black on as well and just dabbed it on. It's very, very watered down because I want to make it look like, you know, water's leaked on it, it's gone a bit mucky, the plants obviously broke down on it. This was like a little potato sack thing that came with the kit. So first of all I dirtied it up, and then what I did was took my tweezers and pulled it apart to break the little sack down, because obviously I'm going to make it look like it's been nibbled on by mice and things, and the bag itself's breaking down and it's all crusty and weird. And then I put a blob of glue on just to hold it in a squished position to make it look all damaged, like it's collapsing, it's got soggy, it's all gone really gungy. Then for the chair was quite easy to break because it was a pain to put together in the first place. I found this chair in this kit was particularly flimsy, especially where all the glue points and things were, but that's okay because that's an advantage for when I make it look all abandoned and break it down. So first things I did was add a little bit of a brown wash to the seating and make that look a bit rough. Then I sanded the corners of the wood and broke bits off. I want this chair to look like it's been very well worn before it was abandoned, and make it look really sort of broken down and no good. Sorry about the ambulance going past. It's summer at the moment, so I need to keep my windows open. Then I broke the legs down a little bit and just twisted them. I want it to look like the chair's collapsing, but it hasn't quite fully collapsed just yet. And then it's a case of gluing it back into its new position where everything's sort of bashed about and broken down a bit. And I added some brown and black washes over the top. I want this to look like it's been getting wet, it's been underneath where there's a hole in the roof. I want that sort of look to it. When doing this, keep your paints really thin and just do it as like a series of washes. It's easier to add more paint than it is to take away, so it's better to add a little bit at a time. And then what I'm doing here is taking the table out of the diorama, a little miniature. And what I had to do was just peel the paper off the base, because in this kit the flooring was made out of some printed paper, which I do replace later on. And here I'm just breaking off the leaves off the basket that's on the table and everything. Sorry this bit's out of shot, but the rest of it's in shot. And then obviously add sort of brown wash over that and dab some brown and black here and there to make everything look old and gungy and broken down. This has sat on the table for many years as the room's been abandoned. The roof's collapsed in, the weather's got in, so the table's been weathered and broken down. So here what I'm doing is I'm pulling the threads of the fabric to make it look all tattered. I'm cutting holes in the fabric and ripping the fabric. I want it to look like it's very well worn, like it's a piece of fabric that, like, if you touch it it'll probably fall apart. I want that sort of look for it. And then I add more brown washes and black washes over the table to make it look all gungy and make it look like it's rotting. And use my sandpaper here and there, well, my little nail file, to rub bits of the paint off and make it look like the paint's been worn away by the table being well used, that sort of thing. And you might find you need multiple washes to get the effect you want, but just keep adding washes and let each layer dry and then add more washes of colour, and then you can get it to the state of gungy dirtiness that you want. For the actual wall, what I did was I applied layers of wet paper towel, like soaked in PVA glue and water, added washes of brown and black, and just really made it all look gungy, like the paper's half, like, you know, almost all off, and it's very well weathered. I focused a lot of black near the top to make it look like, obviously that's where the rain's got in, so there's a lot of black mold, and you know, the walls are breaking down. And then once I'd done that, it was a case of gluing the small pieces back in, and I chose to put them back in the same place they were in, just so you can see the contrast between what it looked like before and what it looks like now a bit more. So I can have it so you can sort of see that, like, this is the room when it was sort of being lived in, and then this is what it looks like now it's been abandoned for years. And I like to use hot glue for this because it's easy to snap it off if I want to move anything about, like I did for this project. The flooring, by the way, is coffee stirrers that have been broken up and glued down and then painted with black and brown washes, in case you're wondering how I did the flooring. And obviously I made it all broken and lumpy because I want it to look like the floor's breaking down and the boards are lifting up from where they've got wet and very weathered. Then I stuck the shelving units back on the wall. I did them slightly wonky as well. I want it to look like they are starting to come off. And then it was a case of painting those up a little bit more with some more washes. And I've got my little plant pot that I painted to make it look like it's got a dead plant in it. Put that back in place. and then just got a bit of paint out and just added some more washes to the furniture, like the shelving units. I wanted them to look quite gungy as well, because they're a bit higher up on the wall, so they've got a bit more of the water has seeped through them and the weather can get to them a little bit more. And for the handles I added a little bit of brown. The brown I used is burnt umber, and that makes a really nice rusty type of colour, so I used that on the hooks, on the shelf, and on the drawer handles, and I broke one drawer handle off as well. And then I'm adding these washes to the tins and everything that's on the shelf, and I also added the rusty colour to the tins to make it look like they're all rusting and breaking down. And it's just a case of keep adding those little washes and little bits of brown and black and a bit of green here and there, until you're happy that everything looks old and gungy. And then I decided to add some branches coming through from the roof. I want it to look like a tree's growing in through, and you know, nature's taking this room back slowly but surely. And at first I was going to use this, it's like a crepe paper type stuff that came in the kit to make the basket, but I thought it would separate into like separate little branches, but it didn't. So in the end I just used real branches that I've dried out, and literally what I've done is I've just taken some little twiggy things from the garden and dried them all out, made sure that they have no bugs on them or anything, and then I use these. You can like, I think you can bake stuff like this to like sterilize it and stuff. I don't worry too much about that because I'm not bothered about the stick breaking down, because to me that adds to the model. So if eventually the little stick rots down, that's fine by me, but bear in mind these sticks have been in my little tub for about a year and they've just gone a bit more brittle, but other than that they're fine, so I'm not too worried about anything like that. And I just wanted to make it so perhaps a tree fell on the roof and that's why it broke in, that's why the roof fell in. Maybe just over time there's branches that have come through the roof, and I added a little bit of green area here and there as well, and then I used my little trick with the glue gun just to add some like cobwebs and things. And then I've got some dried flower petals, some dried rose petals that are like a brownie colour, and I crumble those up and I use those as a leaf substitute for leaves. And then I've got all sorts of like little fake mossy bits and stuff, and I added those to the floor because obviously bits are getting in, and you know, leaves are falling off the trees and going into the building, that sort of thing. So I added those as well and glued those into place. And as you can see, there's the before and the after. So that's it. That's how to turn a regular miniature into an abandoned one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.